Welcome, pilots! This is my second video on the Minmatar Liberation Day event, where I'll take a look at the Escape from Auner re-enactment combat sites. If you're looking for more information on the event in general, you can check out my first video on the Liberation Games data complex. I normally produce these videos only after I've completed a handful of sites, so that I have more complete information on spawn patterns and loot drops. For this event, I thought I'd try a different approach where I run the site just once and provide commentary on the experience. Keep in mind that I'll be running the site completely blind. The only direct knowledge I have came from testing the gate restrictions. Only Tech 1, Tech 2, or Navy frigates, Tech 1 destroyers, or Tech 1 or Navy cruisers are allowed into the site. Based purely on the fact that this is a Minmatar-focused event, I decided I wanted to see if the Rupture was capable of running the event combat sites solo. Prior experience with other event sites tells me you want short-range weapons, plenty of capacitor support, and a strong Omni-tank. This Rupture fit uses 425mm AutoCannons as its primary source of damage output, with a full flight of light drones and a single Gyrostabilizer in the low slots. The single rapid light missile launcher adds a little extra DPS. Unsure whether a propulsion module is even needed, have an Afterburner just in case there's any travel needed between gates once you're in the site. To protect against energy neutralization, I have a medium cap battery and 2 cap rechargers. The armor tank includes a medium armor repairer, 800mm armor plate for some extra buffer, a damage control, a Multispectrum Energized membrane, and 2 auxiliary nanopump rigs. To make the fit work, I needed an ancillary current router rig for the power grid. Time to take this out for a spin. On the entrance gate, a large block of text appears in local chat for those interested in the lore. Inside the site, we land near a station and a bundle of other structures. And in comes the first wave. 3 Punishers, an Inquisitor, and an Auger. The Punishers orbit at about 5 or 6 kilometers, hitting with webifiers and energy neutralizers. The Inquisitor orbits at about 13 kilometers, using both tracking and guidance disruptors. And the Auger tries to orbit at about 10 kilometers, using energy neutralizers. I presume both the Inquisitor and Auger are also using remote armor repairers. They also tend to target swap to drones, so I found myself constantly pulling the drones back in. Mental note, the higher hit point Navy faction drones would definitely be more suitable than Tech 2 drones. The majority of the incoming damage appears to be EM and thermal, though after reviewing the footage I did spot the odd strike from the Inquisitor using explosive damage. I also noticed that my autocannons were having a lot of trouble tracking the Punishers, mostly either missing entirely or only catching grazing strikes. And the second wave appears to be quite the swarm, with 7 Imperors, 1 Punisher, and 4 Inquisitors. The Imperors orbit tight at around 4 kilometers, hitting with warp scramblers and energy neutralizers. Here, my autocannons really struggled to track the Imperors. They also chewed up my drones to the point that I started to lose them. Part way into this wave, I decided to try switching to the Inquisitors. I'm not sure this was the best move. They're orbiting right at the edge of the outer range of my autocannons, and it ended up taking quite a lot of time to finally finish them off. The third wave appeared just as I was finishing off the last 2 Imperors. Another Imperor, 3 Punishers, and 3 Inquisitors. Partway into this wave, I was becoming more aware of the difficulty my autocannons were having tracking the frigates. Using the Lookout command, I started aligning in the direction of my current target in order to reduce the angular velocity. This tactic involves a lot of micromanagement, but it definitely helps when you have medium turrets trying to track small targets. The final wave is a single Prophecy, hits with a webifier and energy neutralizer. Once the Inquisitors were down, I decided to focus solely on the Prophecy, even with 2 Punishers remaining. This definitely started to get dicey, with my tank being stretched to the limit. And of course, another pilot came into the site right near the end. This is EVE Online, after all. Thankfully, my tank held and I managed to snag the loot. 195 reward tokens and an event-themed skin for a scalpel. Note that destroying the Prophecy triggers any other remaining ships to call off their attack. A group of evacuation transports appear and then warp off. I'm not even sure if the pilot who came in was damaging the Prophecy at all. Even if they did, I had already done enough damage to start chewing into its hull, so I think it's safe to say this fit is capable of running this site solo. Regardless, my thoughts on tweaking my tactics and fit. Using the look at command and constantly aligning to assist with tracking was a big help against the frigates. I think it was the right move to take out the Inquisitors before engaging the Prophecy, as I'm not sure I would have broke its tank if it was receiving repairs. In the earlier waves, I think I should have prioritized the Punishers, then Inquisitors, then Imperors. Eliminating the Webifiers first should help the Rupture control range, and thus control tracking. I was definitely unsure about which ammo type to use during the fight. In retrospect, it should have been obvious to stick with fusion rather than switch to phase plasma, as dealing primarily explosive damage should apply better to their armor tanks. Bringing along nuclear ammo to use against the Inquisitors could be helpful. And bringing some Tech 2 hail ammo would definitely help against the Prophecy. And as far as drones go, I was using Tech 2 Hobgoblins. I think the best choice for this encounter might actually be Caldari Navy Hornets. The idea here is that drones are largely used as a distraction, so choosing the drone with the highest shield hit points gives you the best opportunity to keep them alive through the entire encounter. They should also be quite helpful when it comes time to take out the Imperors. If I was going to tweak the fit, I'd consider swapping out the Rapid Light Missile Launcher for a Heavy Assault Missile Launcher. If you don't mind blinging out your ship, a Dead Space Armor Repair will help immensely. Following the encounter, I put some thought into whether it might be possible for Alpha pilots to run the site solo. The skill cap would definitely make things extremely difficult. You definitely need your racial cruiser skill trained to level 4, along with your fitting skills and associated weapon system skills. Taking boosters for your weapons or repair ability would help give you an edge. My initial instincts tell me that the two ships that might work for an Alpha pilot are the Vexor Navy issue or the Scythe Fleet issue. Both are quite expensive choices, and may be out of the budget for younger Alpha pilots. The Vexor Navy would rely heavily on Navy drones, requiring lots of drone micromanagement during the engagement. This fit also includes small autocannons, which might seem like a strange choice for a cruiser, but their purpose is to help deal with the swarm of Imperors and Punishers, and help free up the ship's power grid. I don't have much experience with the Scythe Fleet issue, but my sense is it could potentially work with Rapid Light Missile Launchers and an out-of-character armor tank. But maybe don't take my advice on that, because when I say I don't have much experience, I actually mean I've never flown the Scythe Fleet issue. I plan to try out each of these ships on an Alpha character, and will report back with the results. Whether I succeed, or lose the ship in a fiery ball of death. If your hope is to run these sites solo, keep in mind this dream may be dashed regardless of whether you actually survive the encounter. Competition for these sites remains quite fierce, so expect to be joined by other pilots who will likely be looking to steal your loot. If you have a friend or two, I would highly recommend fleeting up and running the sites as a team instead. I also put thought into whether an assault frigate might be able to tackle these sites. And spoiler alert, I tried it out in a Wolf, the Minmatar assault frigate that focuses on small projectile turrets. I'll be putting out a separate video with that experience. While you're out in Minmatar space, you might be interested in my 13-part series on high-security Angel Cartel combat sites. I have similar series for Serpentis, Gyristas, and most recently the Blood Raiders. You can find all of my EVE Online content here on this channel, or on my website over at RileyEntertainment.com. Thanks for making it to the very end, and I hope to see you back on my channel soon.